Welcome to a quick sharp review of the Batman Earth 1 series. I'm going to be talking a bit about the structure of the book, physical release. I'm going to be talking a bit about the story and the artwork, and lastly about what music I'd recommend listening to when you're reading it. So Earth 1 by Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, and then a few other people who've contributed as well. This is a 3-volume graphic novel. This was released just as these three, so not like in comic form in like a sort of monthly release, just released in these three and really sort of sporadically. So this first one was released in 2016, the second one a couple of years later, and then this one in 2021. So a long sort of gap between these ones. Now I've got here 2 of the paperbacks for volume 1 and 2, and then the third is in hardback. I don't even know if there is a paperback. I couldn't find it to like make them a bit more uniform. Interestingly, you can see that the first one has this sort of grayer, darker sort of blue, and then they've changed over to the brighter blue for these two when they sort of knew they wanted to continue this. So this is a complete story as far as I'm aware. And each of them has basically a complete story in there, but it's an ongoing story for these 3 volumes. Same with the other sort of Earth 1 titles. So just having a look at the books themselves, some really nice modern sort of artwork in here. Paper quality is quite good, and it's uniform. I'm pretty sure it's uniform across all of them. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to take that back. This is glossier in volume 2 compared to here in volume 1. It's a bit more matte. And then if we come over to volume 3, the hardcover, it has this little sort of papery page here, and then I think that's more like the matte stuff in the first volume. That's weird. I didn't notice that before. So yeah, nice artwork. Good story, really good story. I think anyone who's a fan of Batman should pick this up. It's a good sort of resetting of a continuity. So this is all one continuity in its own, not related to other properties. It has some nice little twists on the standard sort of Batman characters and formula. So Alfred is like a ex-military sort of guy. He's not like this old sort of cantankerous butler. They use sort of some of this inspiration for the Batman and the Alfred that was depicted there by Andy Serkis. I almost forgot his name. They've got like Harvey Bullock, who's a upstanding sort of fame-hungry guy who's like got like a winning smile, and then to Gordon, who's not sort of starts off the story is not quite the righteous cop that we usually know him as Batman, sort of looking the other way in crimes. And we've got a Bruce who's young and inexperienced and making mistakes and getting himself into danger because he's just doesn't have that experience. Lucius Fox is a young sort of tech geek. So yeah, it's really sort of interesting how they've played with some of these characters, and I don't want to spoil too much by talking about any of the other ones. I see Penguin there, but you sort of just have to read it for yourself. Interestingly, and this is a good one to talk about it, a lot of the women in this are drawn a bit excessively. I think, I don't know, like I noticed this one, I thought, okay, maybe that's just like a stylistic choice, but going through, you see these women drawn in these ridiculous ways, which I guess is to be expected in some comics, but I don't know, I still find it quite jarring. Interestingly, the villains in these books are fairly brutal, which are fitting for Batman. I always like the darker stories, but look at this stuff. Like this is pretty dark, pretty full on, but it makes the stakes feel real. And a Batman that can get hurt makes the stakes feel real as well. Look at this ridiculous artwork. It's just like, it's a bit much. I really liked these books a lot. The first one's great. I think the second one's even better. The third one was also really good as well. And you can see inspiration in sort of the newer the Batman stuff. So like a bit of like the Batman versus Superman Snyder era, but particularly the Batman Matt Reeves movie that came out. And I think Jeff Johns just really gets Batman. I mean, I think he's a good writer. There's some really good moments in this volume. Particularly, there's one where Alfred is saying to Batman or Bruce that he needs to think about getting some armor because he's got people shooting at him all the time, and Bruce says something like, you know what body armor says about a guy? It says that he needs body armor. And I think that's just like such a great line for the whole Batman mythology that he builds around himself as this sort of otherworldly presence to strike fear in people, and not wanting to be seen as immortal, not wanting to be seen as human. But it's very interesting for us to see him as those things. So, nice sort of juxtaposition versus about what we see versus what the characters in the story see. I would listen to, you can listen to any sort of Batman music when you read any Batman thing. I think the Batman soundtrack would work fine. I listened to like a bit of a mix of things. I think I ended up with like the Arkham City soundtrack. Interesting how we sort of have this established sound of what Batman should sound like. And I think a lot of that's based on Danny Elfman's classic original movie soundtrack. So a lot of them are like informed by that and sort of evolved over time. Sort of makes me think about how we come up with these themes that sound, that just sound like Batman. Anyway, I'll chuck a link in the description, but you're pretty spoiled for choice in terms of Batman soundtracks with all the video games and the movies and the TV shows. Have you read Earth 1? Have you read any of the other Earth ones? I've got Superman, maybe I'll review that at some point, but I've got lots of Batman comics. He's my favourite Western superhero, so I'll be reviewing lots more Batman stuff soon. Thanks, bye.